Alright, so the new Cuphead DLC is coming out in about 9 days, I think, and there's a lot to discover with this, guys. So today, in this video, we're going to be going over what we know about the Cuphead DLC so far, because there's some new boss pictures that just released, some new cool cutscenes that we're going to take a look at, and I am going to tell you guys everything you need to know about what's to come. So I'm sure there are a lot of other great YouTube videos if you want to look at them too, but I'm just trying to have some fun, make a video. So please, guys, stay to the end, and you will find out so much about the Cuphead DLC. So it looks like there's a lot to discover about the world of Cuphead DLC. There is a mountain area with some gnomes, and there's also a giant boss that we're going to talk about more later, with some cool attacks. We haven't seen all of them yet, but we do see in this trailer that there is a part where he makes geese fly across the screen. There's also a tundra part of the board where a winter wizard is featured. He has an official name, Mortimer Freeze, and he has different attacks, like using a whale to slam down on you. And then there's also a part of the board that it looks like it's Western, where a cowgirl who we thought her name was Sheriff Winchester, whose name actually turns out to be Esther Winchester. So we're going to talk about those more later, guys, but there's also a few new characters like Chef Saltbaker and Miss Chalice, if you didn't know that already. And it looks like we're going to be trying to help Miss Chalice become a real person, like not just a ghost, because in the original Cuphead she actually was a ghost. And it looks like there's some additional challenges, like this horse knight. It doesn't look like it's a boss because no one's shooting, but it does look like an additional challenge for the board. Now right here we can see some of the cutscenes for our game. We see that there's a clock rowing you, it looks like, to your destination from the first world. And it looks like that there is something that has to do with a cookie, because it looks like Mugman here is eating a cookie and then he turns into a ghost and Miss Chalice turns into a human. So there's something with that. I think it's called an astral cookie, if I'm right by looking at the trailers and all that cool stuff. And the character that I was talking about earlier, Chef Saltbaker, he, I think, is trying to help you get Miss Chalice alive again, but he does need ingredients for his new recipe. So I think what's going to happen is that you're going to have to fight bosses and earn these items for his recipe, so at the end of the DLC, Miss Chalice can become a human again. And Mugman and Cuphead look like they're helping her along the way, but even though they're trying to help her, Miss Chalice can actually be playable in the game as a third player. I think the damage will be lower because of that, because that's how it usually is in Cuphead, but it'll still be fun to play with. So now with bosses, the first boss that we get a really good look at is Bulldog Howling Aces, and he looks like he's a plane boss, even though you're not actually in a plane while you're fighting him. You're actually on someone else's plane, but this is a really quick look at what boss he is. And then, of course, we have the giant boss named Glumstone the Giant. He has some cool attacks, like these gnomes brewing a potion in his mouth. He also has an attack in his last phase where he has some puppets on his hands, one for the devil and one for King Dice. After him, we have Esther Winchester, who was a cowgirl who looks like she's sucking up loot. And in her second phase, she actually turns into a saloon, like on wheels. And in her third phase, she turns into a sausage cow with 4 legs. Then the boss that we have like the least information about, there is a gangster spider who looks a lot like the Flying Gentleman, one of the unused bosses. And it looks like there's some spiders that he's going to be using to try to attack you. Now, some people say that this anteater is going to be another boss. I personally think it's just another part of the phase of the gangster spider based on his blue and red hat that he's wearing. It kind of resembles the spider's hat. And the boss that we get the biggest look at, Mortimer Freeze in Snow Cult Scuffle. So, in his first kind of phase, he's himself as a wizard. He shoots these little ice children at you, which try to hurt you. And then he takes a huge whale with stars on its belly and back, which really, and I think if you're not careful, you could really easily get hit by this because it takes a huge amount of the screen up. Then he has this little table with a Sears ball, and he shoots tarot cards. And again, this looks really hard to dodge if you're not a skilled Cuphead player. Now, eventually, you can see that there's these snow people in the back watching you with, like, orange cups on their head, and at some point, he will go to the left side of the screen and actually kind of ring a bell that will summon a snowman around his body that kind of look like the people in the background. I think it's going to happen right now. Yeah. So then the people, you can see, like, they kind of put their hands up, so it's almost like there's, like, a whole fight going on, and they're cheering for the wizard. So then, he has a few different attacks as the snowman. He can roll, he can shoot these kind of icicles at you from his fridge belly, and then the freezer door opens, which is his face at some point, and then some food comes out. He also can pound the ground, and these swords will come up. So it does look like he has a lot of attacks, a lot of work put into this boss fight. And at some point, it looks like if you get him to be too angry, he'll split in half and give you part of the screen to kind of these different platforms so you can kind of climb up onto the top of the stadium. So right here you can see that. And in the final phase, he'll turn into a snowflake. He has a lot of different attacks, including rolling out his eye, which is a little creepy. And then he also has a really cool attack, which is my favorite, where he turns into kind of like almost a snow cone machine stand, and these snow cones come at you, which actually are a tribute to an old, unused mini-boss for a run-and-gun in the carnival stage in the original Cuphead. He also has an attack where the hands of the Winter Wizard come out of the snowflake and shoot these little buckets at you, which resemble the ones that were on his head. Eventually, if you hit him enough, he has a very cool knockout animation that I like, where you realize that the wizard was actually in the snowflake all along, and he has a little fever cap on. So that's, guys, basically all you have to know about the DLC. A lot of cool places to explore, a lot of cool bosses to see. I hope you guys are excited as I am, and I will see you all in the next video.